All right, time's now 7:48. We are now back in session. My kids and discuss and or possible action on amending the city's fee schedule. So as you can see here, we do have the fee schedule in front of us. Catherine, did you want to talk to this one? I know you were kind of pointing this one out.
I think it's annual. You can go ahead.
Okay, it's an annual review that the council had adopted of an ordinance for fee schedule, requesting or requiring an annual review by the council just to go through the fees. All the fees that are in the exhibit are fees that are in the ordinances established. And if there's any blanks, it's because a fee was not established. It may say if a fee is established or if in place as set by council. So council can amend these fees. And we would have to go back and amend the ordinances if the fees are in the ordinances as well. The city clerk also has authority to change the fees throughout the year. She sees appropriate for administrative purposes or other purposes, and then bring that recommendation to council, and then council can either accept them or amend them. Or reject them.
So as an example, right, return redemption of captured animal third offense, ordinance number 2022-196, there is no fee. So we would have to amend ordinance number 2024-233 to allow for a fee for that third offense of XYZ. And then that amendment would allow us then to amend ordinance number 2022-196.
I think the reason we did not fill in those blanks is we were not gonna make.
Yeah, no, I
We
understand
were
that.
not gonna make a third return.
Understood. But as an example, I'm just trying, how do we present it?
It can be either way. Catherine and I discussed, it would probably be easier to look at the fees every year, make those amendments, and then going back to the ordinances to make those amendments. Or even take out the specific fees in the ordinance and just add language pursuant to the fee schedule adopted by council.
Gotcha. Okay. So by,
Exhibit A,
Excuse me?
referring to Exhibit A.
right,
Yes.
right.
And so what the council has been doing in the past has been amending the ordinance itself, including the fees within the ordinance. So this takes
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
out and just changes Exhibit A
Yeah.
every year.
Makes sense.
So my first look at this, my first item to point out is microchip. Are we actually doing that, providing that service still? Or
We did in the past. It's still in that case we do it again.
we do have the tools or the equipment?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I mean, if we can do it, okay, that's fine.
So if someone were to come with a dog, if it's in their resident, then it's $10.
Okay. Cool. Destruction is euthanasia.
Euthanasia.
I think that's one that we need to address. Because I think we've been passing out information or speaking information that the destruction of a dog is quite a bit more than that. And over here, the fee schedule is stating it's $200.
May I address that?
Yes.
Unfortunately, I have recent through a vet, and yes, for the euthanasia, it is $200. The other fees that veterinary clinics will charge after that is a good way of saying like funeral expenses.
Yeah.
For that animal. This fee that we're looking at here, the euthanasia, that's all it is.
Yep.
There's no funeral expenses for your pet, as I would call it. I know my counterpart down there, he's kind of chuckling, but when a family member, when somebody has their animals put down, for whatever the reasons, a lot of times they want the ashes back. They want a little offering.
Not really.
Exactly. We're not spending that money.
If it's an owner surrender,
Exactly. I have seen that from different veterinarians that my wife and I have spoke to. $200 is across the board throughout Bear County. I would say it's, and also into Wilson County, because we made phone calls down there. I would say that's still a very reasonable fee. That's just been my recent experience.
So I guess where I'm running into a problem, not a problem, but a question is when it says destruction, I understand. But is that a owner surrender destruction, or is that my dog got hit? can you
It
come
would
pick
be
an,
something similar to that, or
because
the
I,
dog is, been
vicious,
picked up and it can't go back.
Right.
And it's gonna have to be destroyed.
so then,
Then that would be something that would be collected in the court when they come to court to get a citation for a loose dog or whatever.
okay, so then we should likely put here an owner surrender destruction.
Well, we have been saying 500 for owner surrender
Right,
because we don't encourage it. We don't really have the
right, the ability, the,
employees to be taking in.
but it's not in here, correct?
No.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying, like, if we're gonna amend this fee schedule, let's add that in there, owner surrender destruction, right? Just clearly state,
Just changing the.
well, no,
adding
it could be
the-
adding
no,
to, yeah.
Actually, sir, I would increase the destruction fee.
Just the destruction fee
Yes, because it costs us $200
plus time
to
and materials.
euthanize the dog.
Yep.
But we also have added expenses of.
The storage of the body,
Of
the fuel.
Where you,
transporting the animal back and forth.
Yeah.
That, you know,
and sometimes they could sit down there. for a
Shipping and
couple
hours,
hours before
shipping
they
and
get their
handling,
appointment
exactly.
time.
so, you know, I'm thinking, you know, $300 for any destruction that we have to, any utilization that we have to carry out.
Still having the separate line for owner surrender or just $300?
Man.
Oh, hang on.
Yeah, owner surrender, I would charge a minimum $400.
Okay, so still having a separate line.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, sir.
I was about to say the same thing, a separate line for owner surrender. Personally, I'd say leave it at the 500. That, because it is very discouraging, because somebody doesn't want, okay, I got the dog, now I want to give it back. It discourages that. That's my personal feeling on it. And I agree with Alderman Fellinger about that destruction fee to 300. Because of shipping and handling, you'd say. We gotta drive that animal someplace.
Yeah, and we gotta sit with them too while it's happening, so.
And
That
our
takes-
employees on the clock.
Mhm.
So we gotta recoup those costs of our employee not being able to do what they're supposed to be doing during that time.
And we have to dispose of the body.
Yeah, that'll be a part of, that because they don't take it at that point.
While we're addressing it, I would like to see the impound and boarding fees go up
That's on the,
50%.
that's on the first page.
Above
Two
the
above.
description.
Yeah, above the instructions,
Oh, okay, impoundment and boarding.
yeah.
15.
I don't
So
know about any
$15?
rest of you, but my animal food is increased by
Mhm.
50% over the last couple of years.
Yeah,
So $15 a day?
And that's a recommendation. I
Sure.
don't know what we have to do to adopt it.
Well, I do think we would need a motion on each one of these fees individually. Sandra,
Yeah, any fee or changing from
Right.
the recommendation.
Okay.
I would just.
all right, so let's start. I mean, if we don't want, if there's nothing else with microchipping and any of the copies and adoptions, return,
Did we say we're adding a line for?
Yes, ma'am.
not yet, but yes, yeah. So then if there's no other questions on the previous ones, let's have a motion for the impoundment and boarding fee to whatever y'all
Well-
do.
I was gonna make a motion for all of it,
All right.
if that's okay.
for,
I make a motion that we increase our impounding and boarding fee to $15 a day. That our destruction fee goes to $300 a day. And that we add another line of owner surrender of $500
Owner surrender destruction.
/ destruction. Correct.
I'll second.
Well, I wasn't done.
Oh.
And that at our next meeting, we amend ordinance 2022-196 to reflect these changes.
I'll second then.
Okay, so I have a motion for Alderman Coffindaffer and a second from Alderman Rapino to increase the impoundment boarding fee to $15 a day, to increase the destruction fee of $300 per animal, to create a separate line item for owner surrender destruction and establish that fee as $500, and to amend ordinance number 2022-196.
Point of information, sir.
Yes, sir.
When we amend 2022-196, we will include adding the owner surrender line item,
Very well.
because I know the lady sitting next to me is gonna have to do that.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
Carry
All
on with your motion.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Thank you. All right, moving right along. Let's move along and see if there's any other fees we want to modify. Do you have the notary chart? No, does it, I mean, what does it say? Do you know offhand? I mean, it's fine. I was just curious what it said. It's fine, don't worry about it.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
On planning, that's of course for future reference. Under planning, all those fees,
Mhm.
or are we?
Oh,
We're not
plat
actually
application?
charging anything, right?
I think the only change,
We are.
yeah,
Mainly the review.
the review.
The reviews?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we adopt this ordinance 2024-233. With the amendments and changes that we have made.
I'll second.
Okay, so I have a motion by Alderman Coffindaffer and a second by Alderman Rapino. Amending ordinance number 224-233, adjusting the fees as amended. The city of Sandy Oaks master fee schedule as amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All those opposed, that passes unanimously. Okay. All right, moving along. Discuss under possible action regarding City of Sandy Oaks Planning and Zoning Commission, including a possible future joint meeting with city council and one or more members of the Planning and Zoning Commission, or possibly a workshop regarding the planning and zoning ordinance and commission activities. Before I turn it over, I do want to add one item to this, not add an item, but I did attach to your documentation, House Bill number 3699. Just want to go out there and say that we did receive an estimate to bring us in compliance with our with a subdivision ordinance, which is required for House Bill number 3699. It does tie into the Planning and Zoning Commission in a sense that this entity by the name of DNRBS-Z can assist us with our Planning and Zoning Commission, but so I brought that to your attention so you can see the quote that we were provided to just do the subdivision ordinance that is required by the state of Texas. That all said, Alderman Fillinger, Mayor Pro Tem Alvarado, you do have the floor.
And you're saying it's a subdivision ordinance?
Correct, and not in the sense of a subdivision coming in, but the subdividing of a plot to
Good.
build a home.
The plating that we
I
were
see.
talking about a few minutes
Okay.
ago.
Yeah.
Okay, number one, to address this, but this House bill is an amendment to, local government code, chapter 212. And it's not actually that complicated, when you break it down. And chapter 212 is part of the planning and zoning commission's charge in our planning and zoning ordinance. Uh, And I don't want to hurt any feelings. But currently, if we pass the planning and zoning ordinance right now, today, it would be just one more unenforceable ordinance that we need to plan, but
To also enforce.
we also need to enforce. Uh, That said, I'm going to quickly recommend not approving the expenditure of $26,000 for basically a rubber stamp. We're gonna have 5 video conferences with this company. And quite honestly, it's boilerplate. It's boilerplate. They're not gonna give us any original information. It's all boilerplate. But that's only my opinion. What I would like to address is I'm gonna chastise myself. Current and former administration and current and former city council. We adopted an ordinance creating a planning and zoning commission. But we as a body have not supported their work. Here, give us a planning and zoning ordinance. And there currently is a checklist or outline of their planning and zoning ordinance. When I go into the details that they're writing it, there are some serious mistakes in that the planning and zoning ordinance has to coordinate with the city master plan. The city master plan recognizes 2 residential classifications and a residential agricultural classification, whereas the planning and zoning, the draft ordinance is written around R1 through 4. So some of their work is not matching the master plan. In the ordinance, the commission is tasked with writing rules and having a public record of each meeting and reporting to city council regularly. Now, I don't know if they've ever written their rules. I have not seen them, and I don't remember them ever coming to council. we need this ordinance before we can look at enforcing it. But as I look around the city, we have people living in portable sheds from Home Depot. And we have some $500,000 homes being built with no control over any of it. What I would recommend is either an alderman or a subcommittee of council to interface with the Planning and Zoning Commission to try to move them along and make sure the council's aware of what's happening or not happening. And with that, I'm willing to hear from anybody else.
Can I speak?
Yes, sir.
I agree with Charles. It's a boondoggle to pay 26 grand and we have not moved along with planning and zoning the way we should have.
One of the issues I take with this $26,000, items not included. Engineering and technical specifications for roads, utilities, and drainage. That might be something that our community needs on hand here at the city from our P and Z committee. And I say that because of what we heard earlier today and what we've all been hearing about water lines being cut right now. Which if we had it here at the city,
If I may interject,
well, I'm just looking at what I'm reading here is what they don't do. Consultation and review fees charged by the city engineer and legal reviews. So to me, everything that we needed from this company, they're not giving us. They give us enough to say, hey, it looks good, but that's it.
Yeah,
So-
no, you're fine, you're fine. I'm gonna call a timeout on this. Let's not discuss this estimate for now. Based on the recommendation from our council. They believe it does not fall within the scope of this agenda item,
Okay,
so we will not action this at this time, but we still do have the floor for P and Z. So, but specifically to the quote received, we cannot action or discuss this item. My apologies, I thought it would fall within scope.
no, okay, and I do not have a problem with that.
Okay.
And again, not within this scope, but the planning and zoning does need to address drainage ditches, right of way and driveways as well as houses, sheds and. But. When I go to the website. We had 3 planning and zoning. Commission meetings last year. None of them have minutes nor. Media. And that's a real problem. And like I say, I believe that. 1 or 2 council members need to interface and assist the PNC commission.
To your point, do we want to establish maybe working with a similar vendor to help create the P and Z?
But sir, I again will object to that. Because what you're gonna get from a vendor for less than $250,000 is boilerplate. And that vendor will also look to the city engineer to provide expertise. It's just, I know what has happened on the planning and zoning is they they have gotten wound up around the axles trying to write original documents that are just not necessary. I mean, cities, in general law, cities have leeway in what the ordinance says.
Yeah.
But, you know, basic engineering, they don't have to rewrite the textbooks.
Okay. So do we have anybody that wants to be appointed to this subcommittee to assist the P and Z commission?
I do, I mean, yeah,
Obviously,
Yeah, he's passionate.
no, it's just something that weighs on me. I
Yeah.
mean, you know,
Okay,
I would like to work with them.
okay,
And if another council member would like, I believe we can have a subcommittee of the whole of 2 council members working with.
ma'am, did you have a point?
Yeah, I was gonna refer back to our discussions. Do we want to do an initial meeting with the planning and zoning as council? Just to go over points that maybe maybe they have something to say about, their discussions and
Well-
what we need to, at least, like you said, they haven't brought anything to council. We don't know, what has happened in the past, or they don't have minutes and, did you want to do that first before, having 2 aldermen just be assigned or?
I've had no feedback from any of the commission members as to how they feel about that.
Right,
And I added workshop in there, but I don't want a workshop because although we have an ordinance that says it set procedures for workshop, it didn't.
nice.
So,
Anybody else want to be a part of this Steerco subcommittee?
I'll join.
Will join.
Councilman Pillinger, because we did, or I did go throughout the city and saw some things that, were
Unacceptable.
unacceptable. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
people
the
draining a restroom outlet to the culvert.
Yeah.
Things that TCEQ could address and eliminate right away.
if you see that, we don't need TCEQ to write them a citation.
Right.
That's a health and safety factor. And-
Right, we can just stop it.
But that has nothing to do with planning.
Right, right. Well, I'm
Okay.
saying because they built buildings that
could
shouldn't even be there.
I ask a question?
Tom.
Is there some sort of training that or, it doesn't have to be training that they go to or something that they could get online, that they could get an idea of what they're supposed to do?
So
Yeah,
I can.
yes, sir. That's
Research.
government code, got local government code, chapter 211 and 212.
So to address his question though, so I have tried to attend some P and Z training, and that's where actually I remember this gentleman that provided me this quote. He was there and talked a lot about planning and zoning and the ordinances and things that you got to think of and big fines and generically speaking, he's talking about bigger cities. Bigger cities with a lot more improvements, a lot more businesses and things that really become an issue and, you have multiple companies moving in. So that being said, it wasn't a training, it was a sales pitch.
Yeah.
To reach out to them. But this was at the recommendation, the people that I spoke with also was at the recommendation of our city engineer. So that being said, the training, I think, is not what you find out from like ACOG or things like that is probably not any better than what you can actually find off the internet. State of Texas type documentation. But that said, we do have a recommendation for a Steerco, which would include Alderman Fillinger and Mayor Pro Tem Alvarado. we do, I don't know if we need a motion.
There are certain things. I think that probably ask our attorney to write an ordinance creating a subcommittee.
Okay,
Yeah,
But let's ask the expert, Cassandra, what do you think we should do?
I think in the past committees, y'all have always had a resolution or an ordinance and then establishing membership and duties and responsibilities. So I can go ahead and draft that up, present at the next meeting. Have their names filled in and presented.
so it's just amending that ordinance that we last did where we removed people.
Well,
Right.
that's the, wait, are you talking about?
Separate resolution.
Because we have a P and Z documentation that, I remember we removed a couple of names just of recent.
I think that was a planning and zoning commission itself, wasn't it? Where
Yeah.
names were appointed. So this would be a subcommittee of council that would be planning and zoning subcommittee.
Okay, so it'd be separate, okay. All right, then really nothing to action then, correct?
No, I can.
Because it would
just
be,
Bring
done.
something back.
Okay, so we will bring that back to the table. Madam Secretary, we're gonna bring this 11A item back to the table with the draft resolution in the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, moving on, agenda item 11B, discuss and or possible action on unbudgeted office equipment. So what you see here, wherever you can find it, there it is. It is a letter folding machine to the tune of $1,200, $1,258.32. We do see, I don't know, I think the last one we had 250 letters.
Over 500, because there was 200 something letters that were going out, plus an insert on court decorum,
Okay,
so double that.
yeah. So, it could be multiplied, however many cases we have multiplied by 2, depending on what you fill in or add into the document. So, that all said, they are looking for some assistance in the form of this machine. I don't know if there is, what are other comparables or not? But this was the recommendation provided by our city secretary.
And I did look through, when I was on Amazon, I looked through a lot and, some of the cheaper ones, they'll only fold, like, you can only insert 3, 5, 7 pages. So you're constantly having to feed it anyways, where this one, I think it said up to 250 sheets you could put in it, it'll fold quickly.
Okay, where we gonna pay for it from?
On the budget item for court supplies. It's mostly for the court that they're sending letters, yes.
Then I move that we authorize the purchase of Formax SD 314 desktop office folder not to exceed $1,500.
Keep in mind, your court supplies is already at 1,400 and you only have a budget of 2,000.
Sir, if we,
You gotta give the people a job that they can do, with the resources and.
I'm just presenting what is
Yeah.
here. Not to be argumentative, it's just to say what the budget says.
Yeah,
sir, I would move that we authorize the purchase out of court expenses, whichever line item is available.
Okay, so I have a motion from Alderman Fillinger. And a second from,
I'll second.
did you second? Okay. Alderman Rapino.
First thing.
From Alderman Rapino to approve the Formax FD 314 desktop office folder with an NTE of, did you say 1,300?
I said 1,500.
1,500 with an NTE of 1,500, excuse me, to be deducted from court supplies or whatever available line is present. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Right,
All those opposed, thank you. Okay, last and not least, discuss enter possible action on resolution 224-190, nominating a candidate to serve as Board of Director of the Bear Appraisal District. Only reason why this is on here is because Bear County Appraisal District reached out and says they are accepting nominees for one of their board members. If we would like to present somebody, we could. We do not have to, do not feel obligated, but it is there in case you wish to do so and have free time.
Let me ask you, does it have to be a council member?
I believe they said yes.
Okay.
Sure, I would move that we leave that hot potato alone.
Yep.
Well, so before we move, leave it alone. This would probably be the last meeting we can have to appoint someone because they need it before our next meeting.
And once again, sir, my motion is to ignore this.
Well,
Why?
Okay.
You're just a
does that-
nominee, it doesn't mean you'll be.
right.
Let's take a quick head count. Mayor Pro Tem, would you like to be on the Bear County Property Appraisal
No,
Board?
thank you, sir.
Alderman Coffin-Dapper, in your spare time, would you like to deal with the property tax assessor,
Appraisal District.
appraisal district board?
Sure, send me. They'll love me for it. Do you want to raise taxes for what reason?
Sir? That's not what the appraisal board does. I'm just saying, I don't think we have persons that are qualified or available. These board meetings are during the week, during
During the day.
business hours.
Yeah, I don't have that kind of time.
And I have zero interest.
Okay, that is okay. That's what we presented it
So
for.
I move that we do not pass the resolution.
All right.
I know.
We have a motion to remove by Alderman Fillinger and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Alvarado. All those in favor say aye.
I
All those opposed, thank you. Agenda item 12,
move to adjourn, sir.
that motion is accepted at 8:25 PM. Meeting adjourned.
We didn't get a second, I thought.
See.